Hey, working on 1.8 right now. We're going to look at how do we divide integers. So if we have integers that we're dividing, what do we do then? There's some more rules that we're going to follow, kind of similar to multiplying, and there's a way to kind of get them to be so that we can multiply with them. So we're looking at just the signs to start with though. If the signs are the same, we're going to have a positive quotient. So if we're looking at division problems, when you divide a number by a number, the answer is called the quotient. So here if we've got a positive divided by a positive, we're going to have a positive number. If we have a negative divided by a negative, our answer is going to be a positive. Same thing like it was for multiplying. You have positive times a positive was a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. Same thing happens here. And then contrary to that, when you have opposite signs, negative is going to be our answer. Negative. Got it? That's more of like a line. It should just say negative, but I think you get the idea. All right. So looking at an example, a machine drill is used to access water under the ground. The machine drills the same distance each day. What is the change in location at the bottom of the hole each day? So we're drilling down to water at 160 feet, and we're looking at how many feet do we get per day. So it's a negative 60 because it's 160 feet below ground level. So negative 160 divided by 4. We're going to have 160 divided by 4. So this is a negative divided by a positive. So our answer is going to be negative. 160 divided by 4 equals 40, and it's a negative. So we could do that with a number line by saying, or showing, negative 160 down at the bottom, and we're gonna 0, negative 40. You probably, if we don't even know what those are even too though, you could say if I have this and I go 2, 2, 2, 2, looking at it, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps. So each one of those is going to be down 40. So we have 0, negative 40, negative 80, negative 120, negative 160. Okay. Example number 2. It's asking us to solve this one 2 different ways. So simplify negative 27 divided by negative 3. Use a related multiplication fact. So we've got multiplication here. So negative 27, what did I write down? Good old Butterfingers. Divided by negative 3 equals what? Then it looks at asking, well, what's another way to think about this using multiplication? If my answer, let's think about negative 27, what can I multiply by negative 3 to get negative 27? Our answer would be 9. So negative 3 times a positive 9, negative times a positive equals a negative. So we know then that we could say negative 27 divided by a negative 3 equals a positive 9. negative divided by a negative equals a positive. Another way that we can write this, we can write it as a fraction. So negative 27 divided by negative 3. We can add in, we could say that negative 27 is the same thing as saying negative 1 times a 27. And the same thing right here. Negative 3 is the same thing as saying a negative 1 times of 3. And anytime you've got 1 divided by itself, or negative 1 in this case divided by itself, we can cancel those out. So that's all going to become a negative 1 divided by a negative 1. We can separate those as well. Negative 1 divided by a negative 1 times 27 divided by 3. Negative 1 divided by a negative 1 is 1. 27 divided by a 3 is 9. And so all of that is going to become 9. One more example. Are the following quotients equivalent? You have negative with the parentheses 18 over 4, or a plain old negative 18 over 4, or 18 over negative 4. Well, let's simplify these out to see what they look like. This one right here is really saying negative 18 divided by 4. 18 divided by 4, if you carry this out or calculate it out, is a negative 4, or is a 4.5. So we have our negative there still. So all of this equals negative 4.5 on this side. Right here, this negative is rewritten like this, negative 18 divided by 4. Or also negative 18 divided by 4. We have a negative divided by a positive, so it's going to be a positive result, quotient. And again, 18 divided by 4 is a, I'm sorry, not positive, oops. 18 divided by 4 is still 4.5. So that equals right there, negative 4.5 again. Last one, we're going to flip it over. Now we've got 18 divided by negative 4. Again, we have a positive now divided by a negative, so different signs. So our answer is going to be negative. 18 divided by 4, still the same thing, negative, or 4.5 with a negative there. So are all 3 of those the same fractions? Yes, they are. And then the next one, topic 1.9. I'm just going to tag these 2 videos together. Dividing rational numbers, same thing. You can, where'd my eraser go? What the heck? Right there. So if we're going to divide rational numbers, it's going to be the same rule there. I'm just going to scroll to some blank space. There isn't any. So if I'm going to divide a positive, again, it's a positive. This is 1.9 dividing rational numbers. Negative divided by a negative, same thing, it's still a positive. Other side of the coin, positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. Negative divided by a positive is still going to be a negative. So the rule for dividing by fractions is to multiply by the reciprocal. This is new for 1.9. Multiply by reciprocal. The reciprocal, it's a cool little word, is the opposite, or is flipping a fraction. So if I have the fraction 1 over 2, or 1/2, the reciprocal of that is 2 over 1, or 2. So if I have a fraction, and I'm going to maybe say, I'm going to put it up here in a different color now. Let's see if this red works. I don't know if it works. 2/3, ooh, that looks pretty good. Divided by 2/3, now I'll do 1/2. We'll change it up so we don't get our numbers confused. Divided by 1/2. Let's throw a negative in there just to confuse us and make things even more difficult. So same rules are going to apply here. I've got a negative divided by a positive, so my answer is going to be a negative. So we got that much out of the way. Now the rule that we do here is we multiply by the reciprocal. So if I have 2/3, I'm going to leave that one the same. This is now going to become multiplication, and I'm going to reciprocate or do the reciprocal for this one. So times 2 over 1. I'm not worried about the signs yet. I know my answer is going to be negative, so I'm just not worried about the signs. And then the way you multiply your fractions again, go straight across. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. So this comes out to be 4/3, which equivalent is 1 1/3. And our answer was negative. So a negative 2/3 divided by 1/2 is negative 1 1/3. And that is how the cookie crumbles. I'm going to be very inefficient here and hit stop.